'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads.
Over the river and through the woods, to grandmother's house we go.
And ho, ho, ho.
The horse knows the way to carry the sleigh through white and drifting snow. I know that because, like any good sandlapper, we spent a lot of time rehearsing holiday songs in elementary school. Back in South Kakalaki.
My mom used to sing them in the car, but we never sang them in school.
Christmas is coming. The goose
Merry
is
Christmas,
getting fat.
Jason. Merry Christmas, buddy.
Please put a penny in the old man's hat. Man, today, crazy Christmas.
Crazy Christmas.
Christmas carols, Christmas stories,
And figgy pudding.
but not the creepy.
Did you ever do figgy pudding?
I did
I don't
not
even know
do
what figgy pudding is.
I have no idea what figgy pudding is.
It sounds gross.
It does
like
sound gross.
like most medieval food, though, right?
I did put some fig preserves in a bottle that we were flipping the other night for my daughter's science project, but that's another
I saw
story
that.
altogether.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
did? Oh, well, I guess you'll find out if she won today, huh?
Yeah, I guess
You'll
we'll
have to
find out
update us when we
when we come back
finish
to the
season
couch.
2. Season 1 is wrapping today with the holiday season nigh upon us.
Yeah, this is one of the last ones, ladies and gentlemen. So thanks for listening.
What are we going to talk about next season? I guess
Man, we've got Taylor Swift, we've got luck, we've got suicide
and resolutions for the brand new year, right?
resolutions. Yeah, we'll probably do procrastination, although we could maybe push that down the road a little bit.
Well,
Season
first
3.
we got this year though. So talk about Christmas, man. I am a big Christmas guy.
So out of all of your holidays, Christmas is the one.
By far. I mean, my favorite like non-holiday holiday has got to
Sure.
be Memorial Day, just to get the party started. I love summer, but Thanksgiving, fine, whatever. I like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I'm fine. But you know why I like Thanksgiving?
Why's that?
Because it starts Christmas.
Hey, well, let me ask you this, man.
Yeah, what's up?
Let's do a little a quick fire. What's your favorite Christmas song?
Hold on. I don't know if I'm quick on the draw. You know what I actually is? I got in trouble for saying this when I was running for office, but it's Baby It's Cold Outside.
Oh, yeah, that's a little creepy. A little.
Oh, come on. It is not.
Well, I think he was singing to like a 14-year-old, wasn't he?
Well, I don't know
Or
any
at
of
the
that.
very
I'm
least,
just
he was
talking about
singing
the
to a woman that.
lyrics.
Yeah, I am too. He was singing
He
to a
wasn't
woman
singing
that
to a
didn't.
14-year-old.
Yeah, but he was singing to a woman that didn't want to freaking stay there. She was
But
wanting
she
to get her jacket
did. That's
and
the
go.
whole point of the song. She wanted to be there.
I don't know about that, man.
Oh,
I don't
come
know about
on.
that. Yeah.
All right, so there's one. What do you got? Give me another fire.
Wow. And I was going to do for myself. It'd be Frosty the Snowman or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudolph is
Those are-
especially fun because there's
Oh
like
my
tongue
God.
twisters involved. It's very, very nostalgic.
Did
and
you do the
it's
thing
something
where
the
you
kids
add
can
the
get.
lyrics in between
Nah,
Rudolph the
yeah,
Red-Nosed
I've done
Reindeer?
that, but I also love the idea of trying to see if people around me remember all the names because it starts out with
Everybody
you
knows
know
those.
Dancer and Prancer
Well,
and Comet.
that's
and
not how it
Cupid.
starts out, so maybe you should go back and listen to it.
Yeah, well, that's the way most people think it starts out.
No, it's Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen.
Donder Blitzen.
Yeah, and there's always been a debate, right? Is it Donner or Donder? It's actually Donder in the night before Christmas.
Oh. Yeah, you might be right. And I think it's Belsnickel in the new Netflix series. I just learned, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, of those of you that like the Christmas Chronicles, there's now 2 of those.
I didn't like that.
I loved the first one especially, but the second one featured this little, I guess, elf turned bad named Belsnickel. And looking at the history of Christmas, especially the Austrian sort of lore and Norse lore around Christmas, I learned that in addition to Krampus, there's Belsnickel and Nextrisp. These are, I guess, characters that dole out punishments if Santa's not happy with them.
So before
But we'll stay away from the creepy.
before we get into that, keep
All right,
rapid fire, man.
favorite holiday food.
Favorite
Christmas food.
holiday food. It's not a food. It's a wine.
Okay.
Glühwein, hot mulled wine.
Glühwein. I
Yeah.
like mead. I like warm mead, especially if I'm at a.
Isn't that honey liquor?
I don't know what you call it, but
Like mead? And
I
like,
love Christmas markets across Europe, man.
Oh, I do
and some
too.
warm mead. Oh man,
I've never had mead. I'm gonna have to try
Mead
that.
is nice, and you can get mead anywhere, and you just heat it up in the microwave. It's just fine. What about your favorite Christmas dessert? Would that also be wine?
I would say wine. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I like a fruit
Grapes
cake,
are a
man.
dessert.
I like a fruit
gross.
cake.
That is so southern.
I really
That
do.
is so
Yeah.
redneck, dude.
I do like fruit. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I couldn't get the last episode online on Friday night is because this guy, this co-host of mine, wanted me to put the song "If Heaven Ain't a Lot Like Dixie." He wanted me
Oh
to.
yeah.
He wanted me to play it, and I thought he meant put it
Yeah.
in the show.
After 30
So I
episodes,
put
nobody
this,
believes
I
that.
put this thing in the show, and I got flagged. I thought I was going to lose my podcast for like ever. I only lost it for like a day. But Hank Williams Jr., it turns out, shout out to his family. I didn't even realize he had a family anymore.
Well,
Didn't realize he was around.
They're very
I know
interested in his work stuff.
they got rid of him on Monday Night Football, but apparently that's his song, If Heaven Ain't a Lot Like Dixie. And
Well,
he's
ain't
not
mine.
from South Carolina. He's from Alabama originally.
Okay.
But I had to pull that.
Is there a difference?
Well, I like to think there's a difference. We're not nearly as good in football.
Yeah, well, neither of that.
What else? We've got
Christmas movie?
Yeah, give me your favorite Christmas movie.
A
And if
Wonderful
you-
Life.
Good. You didn't say Die Hard. And by the
It's-
way,
Die
we'll
Hard
get,
is not,
yeah,
Die
we'll
is
get-
not a Christmas movie.
I
It is
completely
totally not
agree
a,
with you,
it
and
is
we'll get
tot-
into that. I wish we had somebody here that could defend Die Hard.
Nobody can defend it because
Oh,
it's
man.
indefensible.
Well,
and if
I-
somebody wants to try, if somebody wants to call
I
up or
tend to
message
agree with
us,
you.
then I'm going to throw them off the roof
Okay,
of a
so
very
I'm gonna
tall
go. I'm
building.
gonna go again. I'm gonna say Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, my favorite Christmas
Oh
movie.
my God.
Absolutely, man. A lot of this stuff is from my childhood, but
When
I
you had
love
3
the old,
channels?
I love the old one. I love the old one when Yukon Cornelius is playing with his ice pick,
Isn't that the
and
only
he like
one?
flips it around and picks it up and licks it.
Isn't that the only one?
No, there's
Hey,
a couple versions of it. Man.
I was going to say, that'd be ripe for like a modern remake. You know how Disney does the live action stuff now?
Yeah.
How awesome would a live action Rudolph the Red-Nosed? I would be there front row
Which
with
char-
a red nose on.
Oh, really? I was gonna say, which character would you want to be if you were in the live action?
Oh, if I was in the live action, I don't know, but I would go dressed up.
You'd be Hermie the freaking elf, wouldn't you? The one that was going to be a dentist.
I would be a great dentist.
Yeah,
I would be.
I'd
Is that his
definitely-
name, Hermie?
I think so. I'd be Yukon definitely because I'm kind of pudgy now. I
I
might
don't
be a
know.
little,
I'd probably be one of the misfit toys.
especially with your broken leg.
And my
this
weird,
guy you should have
and my
seen the other
weird
day,
creepy
ladies and gentlemen.
voice.
I'm 6 foot tall, about 300 pounds now, over 50. He's like a strapping young 32-year-old, 4'11", not an ounce of fat on him. He runs like 5 miles a day. And this guy asked me to hold up and wait on him the other day as we were leaving work. You should have seen him. He's walking like a spider.
It hurt.
Yeah,
It
that's right
hurt.
here.
I don't know if my audience knows that I broke my hip.
Oh.
5
So
years
he gets
ago,
a little bit of arthritis in his hip.
little arthritis.
Or actually,
I'm
he's
an
got
old
a
man.
metal hip, so I guess he needs an oil can. Start calling him the Tin Man.
I always felt bad for him even before I broke my hip.
Did you really?
Yeah,
You had
The Wizard
empathy.
of Oz is something that plays all the time on Christmas.
And I think
Like
that
they
would
just
play.
played it a couple weeks ago.
Well, I think
love
that
The
would
Wizard
play
of Oz.
pretty well too with our audience. If we put Frank Baum on the what's his name, the guy who wrote it,
on the couch.
put him on the couch, or maybe just put children's stories on the couch.
You know,
Put him,
at,
C.S. Lewis with Narnia, and
at the University of Wesleyan in Middletown, Connecticut, they actually had a course on the allegory and the meaning of The Wizard of Oz.
that's nice.
That is one of the fun movies to
Yeah,
dissect, isn't it?
We could do that. Yeah, we could absolutely do that. Hey,
But it's one of the things I love about the holidays, man. Not just the Christmas movies, but just all the movies, being with family,
Yeah.
sitting around the couch together. It's cold sometimes,
Now, there's a few movies that they do like a 24-hour or a freaking, whole week. They'll just do it on a channel over and over and over.
Christmas
Do you have
Story.
one? Do you have one of your? My favorite's definitely the Christmas Story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not politically correct.
What are you talking about? That leg is it's
No, that's
a
not
major
what I'm
award.
talking about. I'm talking about the way they act when they go to the Asian restaurant and the fact they even go to an Asian restaurant. Come on, dude. You missed the trees for the forest.
I
Yeah, the
guess.
leg is no problem. I'm more concerned about the other things.
That leg in the window.
Yeah.
Oh,
Man,
so look-
speaking of things that are not politically correct, The Little Rascals debuted in 94 years ago this week. How crazy is that? Used to watch that before school all the time.
I don't know. That's one of my all-time new favorite non sequiturs.
Yeah.
God, you watched a lot of bad movies when you
A lot
were
of
in South
bad
Carolina.
television.
You
Look,
sure
what do you mean?
did,
That was
man.
all we had. It was
Did you
bad
have
movies
Did you
that
have
covered.
a TV that was like black and white with 3 dials, or like
I
did you
rem-
actually get up there and do the dials, or did you have a
Sure.
remote
But you had to have someone outside spinning the antenna,
on the roof?
and then someone
Right.
inside playing around with the rabbit ears on the TV with the aluminum foil on it.
Did you have electricity your whole life?
had electricity, but it didn't always have the best heat and didn't always have the most secure roof or walls or floor. It was kind of drafty. In fact, I reached out to my brother Andy just before this podcast, and I said, dude, is there anything I have to talk about? I'm putting Christmas on the couch pretty soon. He said, maybe about how it hurts to be lied to. And I was like, oh, wow. And then he said, let me see here. He said, hurts to be lied to. And he also said something about, being raised poor and looking forward to Christmas and loving Christmas maybe more because we were poor, because we didn't get anything during the regular year, right? So my parents would say, wait till Christmas, wait, ask Santa, ask Santa, ask Santa. And then they would somehow come up with a couple $100 worth of toys for Christmas. But we were so excited, Nelson. I don't think we ever slept past 3 o'clock in the morning in our entire childhood. I'm talking from
I'm right there
age
with
1 or
you.
2.
I'm right there.
And
with
I don't
you.
know that kids do that anymore. Kids get so
They
much stuff
don't,
during the
man.
year, right?
They don't.
That Christmas is not as fun. Even my own kids, they're really excited about it. Don't get me wrong. But when they finally go to sleep, let's say 9 o'clock Christmas Eve. By the way, I couldn't go, early enough. I was in bed at like 5 o'clock. I wanted it to come so badly. But they go to bed 8, 9 o'clock, and then when they do
They
get to
wake up
sleep,
whenever they wake
they just
up.
wake up
I
normal
know.
time. Like my wife and I sometimes in the past were sitting there wondering if they were going to wake up.
We had the same experience.
So weird.
We
Like,
had the
why am
same
I more
experience.
excited than they are? My parents used to get mad at me. I'd come out to their bedroom first.
We were right there.
And they were like, Santa hasn't come yet. I'm like, what? It's morning, right? And they're like, no, it's 12. It's midnight. Santa hasn't come yet. I mean, now I understand why my parents were so exhausted. That and putting all the stuff together they had to put together.
Yeah. Well, look, we will definitely get to that, but why don't we take a quick break, play a little Christmas carol, and you better put "Baby It's Cold Outside" on for our listeners.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
And then, well, we're not going to get canceled. Come on. It's a good song. And then you can even put the modern version on, which is like the Me Too version. That's fine. You can do that. And then we'll come back and we can talk a little bit about the history of the day and some ways that people used to celebrate.
Beautiful, what's your listen to the fireplace roar. Beautiful, please don't hurry. Put some records on while I pour.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Put 'em on the couch is doing Christmas early this year.
Yes, sir. Hey, man,
Jesus' birthday, man. Tell me about Jesus' birthday. I know that's what everybody's really looking forward to. Baby in a
Yes,
manger. Baby in a
yes.
manger time. 3 wise men.
That's right.
That's the history. Look,
That's right, man. That's why
That's
there's
why
a
we
war on
do it.
Christmas.
Reason for the season.
The reason for the season. That is very much not really the reason for the season. At least
no?
it wasn't in like the early part of church history. Church is really focused in the very beginning part of, like the 2nd century, the 3rd century, early church history. They only focused on the crucifixion, the resurrection,
the old
and
church
Easter.
I used to go to with the manger outside, right?
Well, yeah, but you're not that old.
So you don't mean
You're a little long in
you
the
don't
tooth. but you're
necessarily
not-
mean the Christian church as we understand it today.
No, the early church, the church before it was formally organized under Constantine in the 4th century.
Oh
in the
my
4th century.
goodness, back where the dinosaurs were rolling.
And here's the thing, man, and this is true of regular common people in general. We don't know what day Jesus was born. That's not the way the calendar worked. So why December 25th? Now, it's popular myth that Christians chose the 25th because there was already a really big pagan festival during that time, Saturnalia. And Saturnalia was a season of gift giving, but celebrations around the solstice are really old. They're not new. And it was the idea that, this is why we have Christmas lights, right? The light had ceased to die and it was coming back. It was a time of renewal, rebirth, and great celebration. So solstice timed celebrations are not connected necessarily just to the Christian tradition at all. They go back much, much further.
So Saturnalia, that's the Roman.
That's the Roman festival.
And they were already getting drunk and celebrating
It
way
wa-
before.
It was very similar. Early Christmas celebrations relied on those old traditions. There was gift giving, and it was really a big party.
Yeah, morality, and I'm
Oh,
assuming
dude, it was-
was shown the back door.
Absolutely.
Well, I
Why
heard
not?
it was a time where employees and employers switch
Switch
roles for
spots,
the night,
yes,
right? It was
yes.
like Freaky Friday, right?
It-
And so
for-
you've got slaves and literally masters
Slaves would
switching spots.
Slaves would temporarily become freed
And
for
one
like
of,
a month.
and one
It
of
wasn't
those
just a
people
day, it was
was
like a month.
elected king for like a day or something.
They would elect somebody a king of the festival, so
Yeah.
to speak.
And
Yeah,
the wealthy gave out gifts.
yeah, not a bad
cool.
time, huh?
No, that sounds good.
And like I
A
said,
little better than the Norse celebrations.
yeah,
They
oh,
were shooting each other, I think, with arrows, and it was all creepy and green.
yeah. Well, that's typical of Norse anything.
Yeah.
But the thing with Jesus is a lot of people thought it was connected. A lot of theologians, a lot of historians will argue that it was connected to that. I'm not 100% convinced, although, look, Constantine was a fan of the path of least resistance, right?
Mhm.
So, yes, there's an inherent benefit in making your celebrations similar to the celebrations of the past. That's
But
obvious.
as far as the big fat red guy, he would come along a little later, right?
He would come along a little later.
yeah.
We'll get to him.
Yeah.
We'll come
Yeah.
along later in our podcast.
We'll get in all that.
Is Santa Claus coming on for the show?
Man, I don't think
You
so.
didn't book him?
I didn't book him,
Yeah,
man.
I thought we talked
I didn't
about
get any
this. I
guests.
thought
Our
you were gonna-
budget, man, is tight
You
right
said
now.
you were going to talk to your elf.
Yeah, but our budget is tight around the end of the year,
Oh, come on. He's
Hard to get
he's
guests.
a charitable guest. He
yeah,
wouldn't have
but
charged us.
he's in high demand right now.
I'm sure he is. He's at every friggin' mall in America.
Yeah.
But there's a good chance too that the early biblical records, early biblical traditions have the date of Jesus. Early Christian traditions have the conception of Jesus and the death of Jesus as being the same day,
Oh, wow.
and they point to that day as being March 25th. 9 months later, what happens after you're conceived?
Yeah.
You're born.
You're born.
And so December
and then when
25th
would the born
is,
again date be? For those that are into Nicodemus.
that would be the Reformation. The born again date would be, in the 16th century.
So people have been marking midwinter for a while. Call it
Oh,
summer
yeah,
solstice, call
absolutely,
it
man,
Christmas. I
absolutely.
mean, 2,000 years
More-
since the birth of Christ.
and long before, yes. The
So
the sun is coming back.
So talk about Pope Julius I, if you can. Did he actually fix this date as the 25th? And who was he, and why would he even be interested in Christmas, 340 A.D.?
Yeah,
What do you know?
he fixed the date.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say he fixed the date. I mean, fixed it.
Because there were some options, right? I mean,
there
there was
were
a
plenty of
warmer.
options.
There's a warmer part of the season option.
Well,
which-
most people do believe that Jesus was born in the spring.
Yeah.
Most people believe that
which
Jesus was born
I
in the
wouldn't be
spring.
opposed to that.
I mean, when do people herd their
Pool
sheep?
party,
Right?
pool party. Come on, man.
We have Easter.
Yeah, we have
we have
Easter. But
Easter.
how cool would a pool party be? Going to Christmas
Don't you
cruise and
think-
actually be warm.
Don't you think? It's
Oh,
pretty
I mean,
warm
actually,
down
you
there.
can do it anyway, can't
I
you?
know. Don't you think we need a little warmth in our life? A little warmth
That's
from the heart?
that's what you do. You do the Christmas cruise. Oh, warmth from the heart. I can't wait to talk about gratitude and
Well, do you know that's why
service to one another and gift giving.
the connection to the solstice though is why we have Christmas lights and the focus on lights and that's not centered around anything other than the fact that light is coming back.
Right. Most of these
The
are
sun is victorious.
very, very pagan.
Sol
right?
Invictus.
A lot of
Yeah,
pagan
sure.
or Roman, Norse, Greek god.
Well, and it
kind of
makes
stuff.
sense, right? Because even though you have the new religion, you have the old traditions, and
Yeah.
they carry on, and they still carry on with us. They're still very much a part of the holiday season.
Mm.
But if you actually think about Christianity in its complete context, the birth of the Savior wasn't really terribly important.
No.
Which is why there was that focus on Easter. And Easter, theologically speaking, is the most important date of the Christian calendar. So I've always thought the date of Easter
Yeah.
was far more significant in religious terms. But
But again, we do have some things that we mark as part of our Christmas celebration ritual, marking the
Sure.
beginning of Christmas. That I guess unfortunately we're not going to talk about on the air, but I want to. I'd be remiss if I didn't slip a little something. in
Which
there.
one?
The Christmas tree in particular.
I
Nothing
love
sin-
the tree.
And how
I
could,
love
and
the
How could that
tree.
be sinister, right? After all, I mean,
I love the tree. It's part of the celebration of light.
it wasn't over here until Queen Victoria and Prince Albert popularized it, 1840, I think. Something
Those
like that.
Germans.
But here's
The
the
Christmas
thing.
tree is a very German. It is a German tradition.
But there is the ancient mythology surrounding the goddess Sybil and the mortal Attis. Sybil and Attis, as the gods often did, regardless of the mortal's wishes, they did some interesting things. Sybil sent Attis mad, and he ran out in a crazy rage through the forest,
Okay.
and they found him castrated beside a tree, a pine tree.
That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound Christmassy.
I know. That's
That
why
doesn't
we
sound
can't-
happy.
I know.
Dude,
And I think that was the birth of the elf.
I did not know that.
I'm just kidding.
I did
It
not-
wasn't the birth of the elf,
did not
but it was
know that.
definitely the birth
Is
of
that
the
why
Christmas
elves have very high voices? Is
You
that why I have very
you
high
should know,
voices?
obviously.
So look, have you ever heard of the Christmas truce?
No.
You've never heard of the Christmas truce?
Is this
Oh,
War of
dude.
the Roses? What's going on here?
No, man. This is one of the greatest stories. This is
All
a
right.
real story. And I don't know. Look, call me a hopeless romantic, an optimist through and
Oh,
through.
goodness.
But dude, this is
This sounds like the predecessor to Love Actually, but go ahead.
I
don't
love.
say
I
it
love
is.
Love Actually.
Of course you do.
I do.
Because you're a
I
hopeless
do.
romantic.
There's got to be a movie that you like that's a bit more, shall we say, feminine,
I don't care about the feminine
or a
part.
song. I love
Um,
that movie. Come on, what's wrong with love, man?
Nothing.
What's wrong with
Nothing.
love? You don't believe in love?
I believe in love, but I think that you should show your love 364 of the days out of the year, not just 365.
I do too. That's why I hate Valentine's Day. But there's something special that happens around Christmas, like peace and truce.
And
So the
and-
Christmas truce, World War One.
Okay.
You know, at the start of the war, like at the start of most wars, there's a patriotic rush to join and enlist, and everybody believes it's going to be a quick and
If it's a just war,
victorious
right?
war. Yeah, it's a just war.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, the people who tell you to sign up are going to tell you it's just.
Yeah.
So, you know, the war quickly settles into this trench warfare, this stalemate. And the belief when it started was the war started August 1914. The war is going to be over by Christmas.
Okay.
As we get into the winter months and we get to late November, early December, it's clear that's not happening. And morale really becomes low.
Mm.
Okay. In Belgium, on the front, soldiers are told, commanders are told, look, we have to be very careful about boosting morale. We have to be very careful around this time of year about being ready for some sort of attack.
Mhm.
We have to be hyper vigilant. So they're getting
Yeah.
messages from headquarters to the front, watch out. And on Christmas Eve, everybody is in the trench, and all of a sudden, the English hear Silent Night in German.
Oh, wow.
So the Germans start singing in German, Silent Night.
And they didn't immediately think this was a trick?
They did think it was a trick. They were
Ah.
very concerned.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going and going and going. And then the Germans, this is funny, they could drink.
Yeah. I
They
think
could
they still
they could
can.
they could drink. The English were not allowed to drink in the trench, and so maybe the Germans were just happier.
Oh, you mean they were allowed to drink? Not
were
that
allowed to drink.
Not that they can, quote, drink. They can drink, boy.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
obviously they can drink. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to talk about what's obvious on this
right.
podcast,
I mean,
right?
They've got
We're going-
Oktoberfest, for God's sake.
That's right. So they were, obviously having drinks on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
The next morning, the English wake up and they see a German out of the trench, and the German looks over at the English side and he waves.
Oh, wow.
And he waves, and all of a sudden the English are waving, and
Mm.
one of the guys says to, one of the privates, he says, well, if they're out, come on, lads, let's get out there. And they meet in the middle of this field in Belgium on Christmas Day. They're at war. They shake hands and they have a truce. They even had a football game in the middle of the dead man's land, in the middle of no man's land. And they celebrated Christmas together. They exchanged gifts and chocolates.
It's a warm, wonderful, touchy-feely story, but it also...
It wouldn't happen on August 3rd, buddy.
No, that's
Come
what I was
on,
going to
that's
say.
awesome,
and at the
man.
same time, it's like, well, if we have it within us to agree upon a truce one day, can't we just like put our arms down and just agree upon it every other day? Like what they're basically saying is, look, this day is so special that we have to reach across the aisle and try to be friends and try to find common ground. Like if you can do that
I
and have
just
that much
think-
fun doing it one day, couldn't you do that and have that much fun doing it every day? Isn't that
No.
amazing?
No,
Why,
you
though?
couldn't. Well, because you couldn't.
I mean, giving is better than receiving.
Yes, but
And living is better than dying.
the fact that
And killing people with kindness is
but
better
the
than killing
fact
people.
that something is special is what makes it special.
Ah.
If it was always happy and roses, then it would never be happy and roses
I
because
see.
it would just be.
So
right.
if we had 3 wise men showing up at the manger every night of the week,
Then who cares?
then who cares about Frank and myrrh and
Exactly.
gold?
Now you're getting it.
I see.
That's awesome. Are you nicer? Do you find
frankincense? I mean, not
you
Frank.
don't find yourself being kinder, more giving
During the season?
during the season?
No,
you don't
because
have
I'm-
any feeling
no,
of
because-
nostalgia or kindness.
No,
or-
I don't need that to. I don't need that to kick my selfishness into gear. See, as a psychology person, I understand that giving is about anticipating the surprise on people's faces, the smiles on the kids' faces, the oh, they're going to think so warmly about how I feel about them. I'm a giver because I'm a taker. I'm a giver because it satisfies me psychologically, and giving is my love language.
Well, look, you would have done just fine for the majority of Christmases throughout history,
Mm-hmm.
but during the Reformation, Christmas really changed.
Now it's not dark, is it?
It's just awful. You know, in the United States and Puritan America, it was outlawed for a number of years.
Yeah, it makes
Like in
sense.
Boston, it was outlawed. You couldn't have Christmas
Mm.
because a lot of people pointed, believe it or not, to the fact that the Bible doesn't even recognize a date for Jesus's birth
Yeah.
as the fact. They point to that as evidence that Christmas itself is just
Yeah,
insignificant
it's
in
not
ways,
important.
and it becomes, at least in the northern states, in like Plymouth, in colonial Massachusetts, it becomes this drab, morose day of prayer, fasting, and just misery. And it stays that way really for a couple hundred years throughout, Protestant areas in Europe and throughout northern colonial America. In the South, it's a party. It's still a party. It's always been a party.
Yeah.
So Jamestown had Christmas and they had good celebrations, but in the North they didn't. I think you're more of a party guy. I think you're more of a Mardi Gras Christmas guy.
Maybe.
I love the party of Christmas. I love that part of it.
Now let me ask you, what was your favorite Christmas ever?
My favorite Christmas
Yeah.
ever?
What was your favorite?
Well, I've had so many. I guess every single one with the kids is tops. But for me, when I was a kid, it was a Christmas that I had when I was 13 years old.
You remember?
Made out like a bandit.
Yeah.
made out
With
like
your
a
cousin or
king.
your sister?
That was my sisters. My sister, my stepsisters, my stepbrother.
I mean, who you made out with?
Oh, yeah. I made out with nobody. I was
Yeah.
13.
Made out like a bandit. You mean the gifts you got?
Oh, dude, we cleaned house.
Do you remember anything
Cleaned
in
house.
particular that you?
Best gift I got?
Yeah.
Best gift I got was a Nintendo 64 that
Same.
year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nintendo 64.
64 bits, man. I didn't see 64 bits until I was in grad school. I don't think.
Probably
I was
not,
dealing
right?
with the 4-bit, the 8-bit, and it wasn't Nintendo.
There was
it
a
Atari.
4-bit?
I'm pretty sure Atari was 4-bit and Odyssey.
I do remember my first, like, I was like 6 or 7. Well, how old was I? I was, I was born in 83, so I must have been like 88, 89 when I got my first 8-bit system.
Man, I don't
The
even.
NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System.
89. Yeah, that was 11th grade for me.
What about you? What's your favorite gift?
I got two. The first favorite gift was something I got from Santa, and it was called a Shoots Away. Now, hear me out. You would put your sort of head, I think, through like this ViewMaster, and I don't know, it's kind of like a pair of glasses or something, and you would see a like map or a board spinning below you,
Okay.
and you would pull a trigger, and it would drop what appeared to be a bullet or a bomb, and it would you want it to land in the buckets below you, and it was called Shoots Away, and it was
That's cool, I
it was
guess, right?
cool
Yeah,
but
that's
difficult
awesome.
to do, right? It was kind of difficult
Sure.
to do, but you know, it was hokey and silly, but I loved it. And the other thing I loved, I'm pretty sure I got this from my great grandmother, and the reason I say my great grandmother is because she got me all the greatest gifts, and it may have not even been for Christmas. My brother could substantiate this. It was the Green Machine. The
Green Machine. Talk about the Green
the original
Machine. What is
Green
that?
Machine. So this thing was a Hot Wheel, big wheel, but it was lower to the ground. It had two back wheels and one big front wheel. And instead of steering it with like a steering wheel, you had these two, what would you call them? Throttles.
Yeah.
And you would you could move them independently of one another to steer this thing by moving the back wheels.
So one was like a throttle, one was like turn the wheel left and
Well,
right.
it's all turn the wheel. It looks like a
Okay.
throttle. You have to.
Okay.
You still have to pedal.
Okay.
But man, you could get this
Cool.
thing pretty fast, and with those plastic slick wheels on the back, you could whip that thing around. I think it's making a comeback. I think I've seen some newer versions of it released.
You're not talking about Hot Wheels. You're talking about Power Wheels.
I'm talking about, well, except it wasn't motorized.
Right, but it was like a power. It
big
was something
wheel.
you
They call
could
it
drive
big.
in.
They used to call it a big wheel or a
Big
hot
wheels?
cycle. Hot cycle.
Okay.
But this thing was the green machine, the big green machine. And man, I still get nostalgic thinking about it. And just a couple of nights ago, I saw the original one pop up on a Remember When website, and someone had an original advertisement for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just
It's funny though
I
how
just got
those
excited about it.
memories, how those toys, the songs, the foods, man, they all just take you right back
Yeah.
to what it was on those magic day. You talked about getting up early. I always 3:30, 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
we'd get up.
Santa should already have been here, man. Right?
Oh, he was always there. They must have done a lot
They
of
must
work.
have slipped a little something in your drink to get you to bed early, because we would
No, I
go
was
to bed
like you,
early,
man. I
but
was
we
so
couldn't go to
excited.
sleep. We're
I
so
was so excited. Well, we would get up, and my mom would say, "Hey, stockings."
Yeah.
And she would have put some goodies in the stockings because she wasn't getting up till 5:30.
Oh no.
But she did get up at 5:30, and I was always ready to do that with you. Like you're talking about, I was ready when I had kids
Yeah.
to get up,
I'm ready now.
and yeah,
Ready.
I'd love to get up with them. They
And
don't
it's
get
like,
up.
wait a minute, it's
They don't-
6:30.
they
Now
don't
it's
care.
7:30. Now it's 8:30. It's like
They're going to
what?
be asleep this year till they're 14 and 15. They're going
Now
to be
it's
asleep till
part
like
of that
10
because
o'clock.
again, it's part of that because they have everything already.
I think so.
And so there's not that kind of weight, or is it that quite frankly, they already know what they're getting, and it's just a technicality.
I think it's the latter.
Mm.
I think it's
They kinda
the-
know
or
what
I
they're
think-
getting,
no, I
or
think
maybe
it's- I'm
they've
sorry. I think it's the former. I think it's the
Okay.
former.
Now, do your kids get gifts on Christmas, or do you guys give them on Christmas Eve, or do you?
They like
Let 'em sneak
we
one on
do.
Christmas
We do
Eve?
the one on Christmas Eve. We're traditionalists.
Now, be honest. Right now, at this stage of your life, are you more of a gift giver or a gift receiver? Do you have more fun receiving it or giving it?
I don't think I've ever been a receiver.
Yeah.
I'm always a gift. I love to give gifts,
Yeah.
and I will tell you, and I know you know what I'm talking about. I didn't realize how much fun Christmas was for adults.
Oh, no.
I have had the greatest time
Mm.
over that time, and it goes so quick.
Yeah, it does.
Between 2 and 8.
Yeah,
2
sure.
and 9.
Both of my kids are on the tail end of that now.
Oh, it's hard. It's going to be
Yeah.
hard
gonna be hard if-
because
Because the belief in the Christmas miracle starts to wane, doesn't it? Right?
yeah, but the coolest part for me, and that is sad to
Yeah.
watch, but for me, you got to be the miracle. You got to be
Oh yeah.
the guy. Like they believe
You make it all happen.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there was something so special about working so hard and going to the store, and I would go out on. My wife hates to shop.
Yeah. You got last minute.
I was first minute. I was
Okay.
out on Black Friday.
Okay.
I was in
I mean,
the
that's
hustle
still
and the
that's not
bustle.
that's not first minute, but it's earlier than most Americans. I think something like 46 Americans admit that they're out like the Saturday before Christmas shopping.
Yeah, I don't do
Yeah,
that. No,
that's much.
I go out on Black Friday.
Well,
and
you
I
can
got
rest
everything.
assured you're not going to get what you really want to get, and you're not going to end up giving what people really want if you go out that late.
Yeah,
You're just going to be stressed, and you're going to impulse buy.
I know. I enjoyed it. I was very meticulous. I was very planned. I would take my kids out like a couple weeks before,
Mm-hmm.
and we would make the list.
Yeah.
So we would say, "Oh, look at this toy. I'd like that," and they would go and, obviously we'd probably buy something for them anyway
Yeah.
that day. But we'd get them a nice list, a good baseline for the big guy for Santa.
Well, talking about that list, I think that's a good segue to take a break and come back and sort of talk a little bit more about the modern traditions, the modern.
And the big guy. We got to
Yeah,
get to the
the big
man in the
guy.
big red suit.
Yeah, let's do that.
When I'm feeling blue and when I'm feeling low, then I start to think about the happiest man I know. He doesn't mind the snow and he doesn't mind the rain, but all December you will hear him at your window pane, singing again and again and again and again and again and again.
Oh,
And
I
back,
love that song.
back for a
I
third
love that
segment.
song, dude.
If you're just joining us, Jason McCoy alongside my co-host
And better half.
Nelson Boyer, and we are doing Christmas early.
Hello. Yes.
Talking about Christmas creep, here we are letting Christmas creep in on our podcast.
Absolutely, man. It's Christmas season. The whole thing: the eggnog, the food, the parties,
Gift giving.
the gift giving, the shopping. Have you gotten all your shopping done?
I have gotten everything done except I need to let Santa know about one big gift for my son. other than that, I think I'm all set.
You're all set.
And that's,
You know,
and
people have
honestly,
been-
that's because my wife is all set. She is a procrastinator.
how much Amazon crap comes to your house this month? It's
I
just
tell you one thing.
nonstop.
It's always here, but I can tell you one thing: the people who are driving around delivering this are doing it close to midnight in my neighborhood.
That's crazy.
I'm sitting up watching football games until like what 11 o'clock or whatever, watching late news, and I'm hearing this this mail truck's door open. I look out the window, and there she is delivering boxes. At
Yeah,
11,
it's
11:30.
yeah, it's nuts
Unbelievable.
having the you know, people, you know, I've heard, and I've been to the stores most weekends.
Yeah.
They were worried. I don't know who they is, but they. Hey, you know what I'm thinking for next season?
Yeah,
Let's put they
We
on
should
the
put they
couch.
on the
I don't
couch.
even know who they is, but they.
yeah.
Uh,
They're worried,
market
right?
analysts. They were worried. They thought it was going to be like a low spending Christmas.
Oh, let me guess. They've made fewer Tickle Me Elmos or whatever the hot item is this year, and they're going to
No.
create that scarcity, and not
No,
everybody's
that
going to get it.
they thought that people were going to spend less,
yeah, sure.
and over Black Friday they have found that Americans, and not just
Mhm.
over the holiday, but in general, even though we're going into more and more debt,
Yeah.
that we're spending
More.
than we should be, and they're
Right.
getting very concerned about that.
Makes total sense to me.
That we're buying things that we
we're
can't
buying more.
afford.
Yeah. hmm
Why?
Well, first and foremost, I don't need
Do
to
you
tell
extend
you that
yourself during the holiday season?
I probably do. I extend myself all the time, but maybe particularly during the holiday. And there's some very specific reasons why I do it. And not all of them do I feel like I have control over. But I was going to just back up and say,
Oh, I wouldn't
as
say
someone who
you're
studies,
impulsive.
as someone who studies the economy and politics, and you know that we are a consumer-based economy.
Yeah,
We have been for a very long time, and we probably will be for the foreseeable future.
let's hope.
So, to that end, everything that they, air quotes, do is to encourage us to spend
Yeah.
at whatever cost, right?
Right.
And they get in cahoots with the other theys, right? Like neuroscientists, marketing firms, ad agencies.
Psychologists.
Right. They all work towards this same end. The almighty green, baby. And I'm not talking about the Christmas tree. But first and foremost, why are Americans
Yeah, why are we
Americans
spending money?
Stress. What stress does to the brain is it reduces your ego, or it depletes your ego. Another way of saying that is stress makes you more impulsive. And impulsivity makes you make quicker decisions without thinking. It
I
feels
see.
good, you do it, right? So when I'm anxious, when I'm depressed, when I'm impulsive, I'm going to drink more if I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to eat more if I overeat. I'm going to crave more sweets if I'm into sweets. And you're going to spend more just out of impulsivity. It makes you feel temporarily better.
So just the fact that the holidays themselves,
Are
the
stressful in and of
family, there's
themselves.
pressure to
Absolutely.
deliver for the kids,
100%.
makes us spend more.
Right.
A and B,
There's others.
yeah,
We're coming out of a pandemic.
right.
And so for the last 2 to 3 years, most of us across the globe have been stressed and concerned about losing our jobs, having our hours cut, whether or not we're going to have a job when we finish the pandemic, when we get out of the pandemic, whether or not we're going to have to move, whether we're, there's so much
So there's
stress
a
about the pandemic.
temporary alleviation of stress, like a celebration of life.
Now we've got the
and then the bill
celebration.
will come due later.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to worry about that because that's later. I might
So
not even be
people-
alive for
So
later.
people now want to get out and mingle and gift give and share and get back to normal.
Yeah.
And so
Even though the pandemic, I mean, this is the second post-pandemic Christmas.
yeah, it's
Come
not
on.
it's not it's not quite the
It's not as-
first. It's
yeah.
not as bad, but it's getting better, and
Okay.
so that's part of it, I think. But there's one other big one, and I just alluded to it about they getting in bed with one another. I think of it as brand wagoning. It's bandwagoning and brand wagoning. It's this idea that you are inundated with ads, and these ads are telling you, look, famous people, happy people, people who are interested in family and community, they buy these things, they have these things, they show you what a good time is, and you don't want to
Miss out.
you don't want to miss
You
out.
have
There's a
some-
little
is it
FOMO, got a little
FOMO,
FOMO, yeah,
FOMO
little
action?
But there's also you want to feel good. You want to celebrate your family. You want to celebrate how you're doing, and what better way than to have the brand items and have all the things that everybody else tells you should have. I mean, You don't actually have to be doing better, but if you got the right brand on, if you got the right version of a phone, if you've got
I get it.
the right
The
item,
gift,
the
if you have the
gift, right?
gift.
If you've got the grown-up version of the Teddy Ruxpin Tickle Me Elmo.
Tickle Me Elmo. Do you remember
Right.
the Tickle Me Elmo stampedes in
Man,
'96?
are
I'll
you
never
kidding me?
forget it.
The 27-year-old stock clerk had been working the overnight shift during the holiday rush when he was spotted holding the giggling, vibrating toy by a crowd of frantic shoppers. The ensuing melee left him looking like he'd been in a major car accident. Someone had even torn the crotch of his pants. The last thing he saw was a white Adidas sneaker kicking him in the face before he lost consciousness.
Was that from an Elmo? Was that an
so
Elmo
he
attack?
was a 27-year-old stock clerk who was basically trampled, but they were stomping him, trying to get to a Tickle Me Elmo that they saw
That
he was
stuff
stalking or he was
weird. Those
holding.
stampedes were weird.
Man, you know, it was really weird. Back in 95, 96, when Tickle Me Elmo was, all the rage, no one could get one, right? And stores might have one or two, but they were supposed to hide them, lock them under key, or, put them behind lock and key so that they could give these out to people who had rain checks or whatever. The story goes that in Queens, there was a Toys R Us that allegedly John Gotti Jr. and his family went to. And they were just supposedly in there just shopping for regular toys, right? But the story went that he stayed in after closing. He somehow got his hands on some of the when they called out the ownership or the
gangster.
managers. Yeah, that's gangster. When they called out the ownership and the managers about it, they're like, no, we didn't have any of those. This guy and his associates didn't. They didn't get away with that. No. They just bought, regular toys. Allegedly, he spent $8,000. I'm wondering if he bought eight Tickle Me Elmos for that $8,000.
Well, one of the reasons. So, Tickle Me Elmo and
Teddy Ruxpin.
no, Tickle Me Elmo and N64 were the same year.
Oh,
that was the same
Okay.
Christmas. And one of the reasons that Christmas was so special to me
Mm.
was that N64 was almost as hard to get. Like, I didn't count on
Yeah.
getting it. I didn't think I'd get it.
Scarcity, man.
I didn't think my mother would be able to find that.
Yeah, social psychologists call that the scarcity principle, man. Whether things are really that scarce or whether we just imagine they're that scarce, it creates quite the buzz, and it's very
you get it.
persuasive, right? It makes people feel like they've got to go out early and often and get it, or else there's not going to be any left.
Isn't that why?
It's brilliant,
Isn't
by the way,
that
if you
why
think about it.
people put such a value on diamond? Like, because diamonds aren't
Diamonds
really
are-
scarce, but they feel rare.
They're
They feel
relatively scarce, though. But yes, I understand what
not
you're saying.
compared to their pricing.
Maybe not. But yeah, that is true that some of the actual scarcest materials on Earth should be the priciest.
But see, I want to talk about
But
this a
I'm
little
saying
further because
just the fake scarcity, though, right? Like, so toy companies, this is going to be a little conspiratorial.
oh god,
But toy
that was
companies,
last week, buddy.
yeah, but toy companies could always hold back
sure.
some of the items,
Okay, yeah,
release fewer of them, kind of like OPEC and other oil producing
yeah. That's
countries do.
not conspiratorial. That's
I
just
think it might happen.
economics.
Yeah.
Eco
So you
101.
hold it back. You let people buy what's out there, right? And if there's a little bit of black market stuff going on, that's fine too. But then what's going to happen is the kids who didn't get what they wanted for Christmas, parents are still going to have to buy them something close, the knockoffs or whatever, right? They're going to buy them something close. Then after Christmas, all of a sudden,
You flood the
they
market.
flood the market again, and people go buy those too. So, your kids who didn't get the It toy, they got something similar. It still costs something,
and then you get
and then
the
they
It
got the
toy.
real one as well. So,
Yeah.
in terms of like
Slick bastards.
in terms of consumerism, in terms of a consumer-based economy, that actually helps.
But I'll be honest with you. As a parent, and again, I was I was talking about diamonds a second ago.
Mm,
Anytime we have an emotional day, an emotional purchase,
absolutely.
we put that pressure on ourselves, and
Mhm.
boy, do we spend. Like, think about the money spent
Yeah.
on something like a wedding.
Yeah.
Like, why are we spending 40, 50, 60
Again,
grand?
Because
for a
of
day.
brand wagoning, because it's
day.
emotional as hell.
It really is, yeah.
We don't want to miss out on the next best venue or the next best catering job. Or I think there's the other side of this, though, Nelson, I'd like to talk about is the recipient. Like, how do we even know that the recipient is getting as much satisfaction as we are getting out of giving it? How do we know that
I
the
don't know that
recipient-
we care.
Well, maybe not, but I
I
mean,
don't know that we care.
You would definitely care if your kids liked their gifts. You care if your wife
I
likes
want
her
them
gift.
to like their gifts.
Yeah.
I want them to like their gifts.
I mean, I
but
definitely put a lot more into my kids and my immediate family's gifts than I do.
well, I
maybe
guess you're right. I mean,
yours.
there has to be. Oh, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I got this stupid cheese head.
Yeah. Hey, that wasn't bad.
It
This
fits.
guy- this
My
guy got a
child-sized
this-
cheese head.
I went all the way to Green Bay, Wisconsin.
And all I got was this lousy cheese head.
Stood in the gift shop there for hours in a line, and brought him back a cheese head. It was a miniature one.
Child.
It was a child. It was a
Child's
child size
cheese
cheese
head.
head. Instead of paying $45, I think I got it for like $25. But it also fit him very nicely. 'cause
Fits me
his
very
head's-
well.
His
Thank
head
you.
looks more like a kid's head.
All right. Well, look.
But the gift recipient.
I
I'm
know
gonna
my
talk
I know
about
my
the
daughter's not
recipient.
going to be listening to this, so I'm going to
Okay.
tell you what we got for her because I think this kind of ties
Okay.
in. We worked so hard. I've been Ubering night and day every
Mhm.
weekend, and we're going to Tanzania next summer.
But you're a college professor. Why do you need to Uber every night?
I really shouldn't talk about that.
Okay.
Uh,
But let's just say it doesn't buy cruises to Tanzania or trips
yeah,
to Tanzania.
not at my place of employment.
Okay,
No, that is. So we decided, that last summer we went to that Taylor Swift concert.
Mm.
This summer,
They're going to do something a little cheaper.
this next summer, no, we're going to do something twice as
Tanzania.
expensive. Yeah, we're going to Tanzania. On the way to Tanzania, we are stopping, and my wife and daughter are going to go to a second Taylor
Oh, my
Swift
God.
concert.
Travis Kelce, look out, man.
$2,100.
Travis Kelce, look out.
$2,100 for that gift, and why do I do it? Why? And
Because
I-
you absolutely know that's what she wants, and she values that more than anything.
Yeah, and I guess I value her more than anything.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what makes a good gift.
Yeah.
And just I hope it's worth it for me. I hope
Yeah.
it's worth all this work.
Well, generally
That
speaking,
when she opens it, I get that satisfaction.
that rush, that satisfaction. Well, here's one for you. You know that half of Americans say that there's at least one gift every Christmas that they pretend to like.
Thanks a lot,
And here's the thing:
dude.
when you ask others, what was the gift? What was
Scrooging.
the gift that you think was least appreciated last year?
They get it wrong?
People, they have no idea.
Wow.
So you will never know, I guess, whether or not your kids like it or not.
Dude, has
although
anybody
something
ever
tells
called
me
you a Scrooge? You are Scrooge McDuck, man.
Now, here's the thing. Let's just sort of keep with this line of thinking then. What are some things, generally speaking, that psychologists, when they study it, they find are not nearly as positively received?
Okay,
Turns out,
so we have a
turns out
psychological.
money. It turns out
Money's not well
money's
received.
it's not well received. Now, economists think it's a good gift because it's something that both parties value equally. If I give you $10, then you view the $10
Is
the
that
same
what
way I view it.
is that what makes a good gift?
That makes it. It makes
we both
from
value
an
the
economics
gift
perspective,
equally.
I think from an rational economic perspective, that would probably be the best gift you can give. I think most rational
well, look,
economists,
real
would.
quick,
but
real quick.
psychologically, that's not the best one.
I'd like to make a request,
Okay.
or not a request,
Yeah,
just an announcement.
Okay.
If our listeners are thinking
Yeah.
about a gift for me,
Money.
I love money.
yeah.
I love money.
Well, it turns out that when people give gifts, they're more likely to give a gift that is really valued highly and appreciated greatly if the gift seems like there was thought, there was time, there was energy that went into it. If there was planning, so intention, psychologists believe
Intentionality.
intention matters the most,
Okay,
right?
I like that.
So intention heightens the pleasure. By the way, we didn't talk about this, but I think we did when we were talking about pain. We put pain on the couch. If I intentionally hurt you, the pain is worse. But if I accidentally hurt you, the pain is actually perceived as less. So it's the inverse when it comes to gift giving.
it's scary as hell
the
because
more-
if somebody
Accidentally hits you in the
or
balls.
has accidentally dropped a bottle of wine on my toe,
Yeah.
You're telling me that would hurt more
Well,
if they threw it at me?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't buy it.
because there's the
That
there's
hurt.
yeah. And also the opposite is also true with respect to pleasure, right? If I intentionally give you a gift or give you a gift that shows intention and planning, then you're going to get more pleasure out of it than if I just if you felt like I just picked it up last second, or if I just used my influence and money to get you something nice.
Did you ever see Donnie Brasco?
Yeah, I did.
I love that Johnny Depp is
Johnny
in
Depp,
there
mhm.
with Al Pacino.
Yeah.
And on Christmas, they just give each other 2 giant envelopes of cash.
That's all it
I'm
takes,
like, what-
baby.
This
Yeah.
is bizarre.
Now, there's one other caveat. Some scientists have found that when it comes to giving gifts, one of the best things you can do, however, is to make sure that the gift you're giving, whether it's money, whether it's a trip, whether it's a hamburger, whatever the case may be. Make sure that you're certain it's something they want, not something that you like. It apparently
Okay.
most people love the gifts they give because they're imagining receiving that gift, right? So we have to be really careful about, of course, right? So just the other day, I wanted a carpet cleaner, and I bought one for like $300. Now, I don't like to clean carpet, but I just don't want to spend money having a professional come do it all the time. So I thought, I'll go and buy a $300 carpet cleaner. I thought about wrapping it up and saving it for Christmas for my wife.
Okay.
And she laughed at me. She's like, of course you would do that because it's something you wanted. And you were going to put my name on it and you get the benefit out of it. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. Don't you also want like a new big screen TV and a new computer? Because, we tend to do that. But yeah, I think we're doing it the right way with kids most of the time for Christmas. We're saying, make that list. And now we get to scrutinize the list and ensure that we're getting them what they say they want.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't always work if we get the list too early.
Well, not us.
My son
I mean,
changes
we're not,
his.
not us. I mean, it's
we get it passing off to Santa. But if we do it too early, then my son has already changed his mind 2 or 3 times.
Well,
in fact, he's gone back and said, "Hey, I want to take 2 things off and add a new thing."
Yeah, you gotta find that sweet spot. I find it right after Halloween and right before Thanksgiving is probably when you
Best
gotta
time
go.
to start asking for the Santa list.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the guy in the red suit. The guy who actually
the big guy
is responsible for all of this.
Okay.
Do your kids?
Jesus.
Do your
Or
kids?
baby? I don't know. Do baby Jesus or Jesus?
Baby Jesus.
Okay.
Baby Jesus
Baby
in the
Jesus.
manger.
Yeah.
Right.
Another great movie, by the way.
Baby Jesus.
Baby New Year. You ever seen that movie?
Never seen it.
His hat pops off. It's Baby New Year, and his hat pops off, and everybody laughs at him, and he takes off. And so they're not going to have a new year for the first time in like 26,000 years. But he's got big ears under
Doesn't
the hat.
sound good.
He's wearing the hat because he's got these big, embarrassing ears. Yeah, it's
Sounds like an
I watched
80s movie.
I watched a lot of great
Let
television.
me ask you an 80s question.
Sure.
Are you guys embarrassed by the lack of quality in your films and music?
Oh, and
Like,
fashion,
is there-
and fashion.
Yeah, is there
and,
a collective like 80s embarrassment? Like growing up in the 80s? 'Cause
Dude.
I'm proud of the 90s. I own
yeah,
it.
80s
I'm
is bad.
proud. Yeah.
Fat laces, big hair. You know who we had
Horrible
though?
TV.
We had a lot
Ronald
of horrible
Reagan,
things,
another
but we had one great
strike.
thing. We had one great thing.
All right.
We had some really good power ballad bands.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you
Poison,
that.
Warrant,
I'll give you that.
Cinderella, Skid Row, like
White Snake.
yeah, Whitesnake.
Yeah,
we had a
I'll
lot
give
of
you-
those.
I'll
But
give you-
otherwise, no,
I'll
I
give you
can't
some
think
that.
of
I'll
anything.
give you some of that.
And that was back then when you could still go and to amusement parks and ride some really fun, unsafe rides. You didn't have to be any certain height or age.
All right. Well, that's
yeah.
all you. That's all you get.
That's all I got.
That's all you get.
But the big
did you
guy, man.
did you believe in Santa?
Of course, I
All
believed in
right.
Santa until
Let's do
I
this.
couldn't.
Let's have a little story here.
Mm.
Story time. What happened? Do you remember not believe? Do you remember when you found out
Yeah,
the big lie?
yeah, it was the big lie, man. And I wasn't really mad. I actually think I felt somewhat good because I thought I was in the know, and I felt a
Did
new
you have
sense
doubts
of,
at that time?
I don't know, but I had a new
Must
sense
have,
of
I guess.
responsibility. I think someone told me at school, and I pretended like I already knew because I had to be cool, right? I was probably 8 or 9. I don't know, maybe even 10. But I remember thinking, I've got to keep this on the lowdown because I've got a young brother. Then, of course, I think by the time I told my young brother, yes, I think I told him when he was about 7. I ended up telling him a couple years earlier than probably
Did you do
parents
it?
would.
Did you do it when you were pissed? Was it like
I know.
Okay,
I
let me
don't
tell
remember
you.
again. I'd have to confirm with him. I don't think I told him when I was pissed, but I think it was more of a. I always had this respect and this reverence for my brother. I always thought he was older than he was because he was so smart, and he was honestly as good as I was when he was 7 and I was 11. He was good as I was at anything else.
That's probably why he took a liking to me.
Yeah.
So what did you confront your parents? Like what?
I think
you
I
were
asked my
excited?
mother, and she agreed. I was like, "Look, there's no Santa, is there? It's not
That's
real."
how you found out.
No, I found out at school. I'm pretty sure from people talking about it, and then I
Oh,
went
I
on
thought-
to
I
confirm.
thought-
went on
okay,
to
you
confirm
went
with
on
my
to
parents.
confirm,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. No, my mom
I
would
thought
have
you
let me.
pushed back.
My mom would have let me go probably indefinitely. She would have never mentioned. My mom was very much into magic and
My
wishing
mother
and,
still puts from
Yeah.
Santa on a gift she gives us.
Yeah, yeah. And so let me ask you this: what about your kids? Did you tell them? Did your wife or did someone at school? Do you remember?
My oldest daughter says she found out when she was in 3rd grade and played along. I don't know how much I believe that, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really want to know.
Nah. So my daughter's in 3rd grade right now, and she still believes in Christmas magic, and we still have the elf on the shelf.
We
Her
did
name
the
is
elf.
Sprite. She
We
comes
did the
in.
elf.
In fact, last night she got herself tangled up in the little pull switch on my son and daughter's ceiling fan in the room, and
That's a fun one.
that was fun. Although she looked a little bit like an exotic dancer this morning, upside down hanging.
See, you had kids later than I did.
Yeah.
You got lucky. When we had the elf,
Mm-hmm.
it did not. Its hands weren't bendable, and they were sewed together.
Oh, they still are. They're sewn together.
They are sewed together.
Yeah, that's not too bad though. Her
I
hands are
hate
sewn
that.
together, and
They shouldn't be sewn together.
no, I do agree with that. Or they should Velcro back together.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're listening, if
exactly.
you may, and this is by the way is the original. This is like an actual one from Santa's workshop. This is not something from like a
So
a
Santa,
Walmart.
Santa,
This is an original Elf on the Shelf from Santa's workshop.
if you're
and it's got
listening, Santa Claus.
yeah, Santa, you got to do a little bit better, man. Some Velcro hands, some snap hands and feet. Also, what's up with not having any feet?
That's a good question.
You know, I thought about putting one of those some Barbie slippers or boots on.
Well, do you
on
know?
this-
Do you know what we did? We had my mother-in-law put like little pipe cleaners and stuff in him. That way, he can do all the things that you see him do on the internet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we can hook
Nice.
you up. We can hook
Yeah.
you up if you want.
Well, maybe next year. We're
Yeah.
we only have a few more days of Elf on the Shelf.
Does he do? Does your elf do crazy elf things?
Not really. No,
No.
a little bit. When she comes, she ends up in the candy bin in the pantry
Mm-hmm.
because it's obviously Halloween was just around the corner and we've got so much candy left over. So she usually like nabs a couple Sprite out of our spare refrigerator
Ours,
and
oh, yep.
eats the candy.
Ours wrapped the toilet on Christmas Eve.
Oh wow.
What else did it do? It put underwear all over the tree once.
Mm,
We used to cook the elf spaghetti and
Nice.
syrup
yeah.
from the movie Elf.
Yeah.
They watched that movie and they're like, "Well,
Buddy.
that's what Penny would
Oh
like."
no, that's Penny. Yeah.
Yeah,
Buddy the
no,
elf
Buddy,
was,
Buddy is
Buddy
the elf.
is
No, Buddy's the one from Elf. Ours
really?
is named Penny.
yeah.
Buddy is the elf from Elf.
No, but there's an Elf on the Shelf movie now, by the way. I thought that's what you're talking about. But you're
Yeah.
talking about the
Chippy, that's
one and
that's
only,
his name.
the
Chippy,
real elf.
The real elf.
Will Ferrell's character.
Yeah, he likes syrup on spaghetti. So
By the
that's
way,
what we made.
quickly, Dr. Seuss, The Grinch, got a favorite version
Absolutely,
of that? The original, with,
the original.
with Jim Carrey. Or
no,
you
no,
mean
no,
before
the
that?
original, the cartoon,
Cartoon
Grinch
original, yeah.
with the
I have
You're
to
a
say, I
rotten.
like Jim Carrey's version.
No, that's
Yeah.
good. It is
But there's
good.
been 2 or 3 since then that are kind of cool.
I think they're all pretty good. I
Yeah,
love,
so
I
talk
love
about
that story.
the big guy, man, the origin of the big guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously he is
Saint Nick.
a Saint Nicholas. He is the patron saint of children.
Mm-hmm.
He is the patron saint of the poor because he's a gift giver,
Mhm.
and he's also the patron saint of those at sea, of
Really?
sailors. Yeah, yeah. He was a bishop in Turkey in the 5th century.
Okay.
So, he exists not
Mhm.
just in history. That's the historical Saint Nicholas, but he exists all over the world as a symbol of love, goodwill, and care for children. He exists as Sinterklaas.
Yeah.
In the Netherlands,
Yeah.
Pierre Noel, Father Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
In France, he is Father Christmas in Great Britain, and he is Santa Claus to us here in America.
Now, has he always been fat and cherub-like and white hair and the big red
no,
costume?
God, it depends. In Australia, he it looks very different, and he drives boomers, 8 white boomers.
Is that right?
Have you ever heard the song 8 White Boomers?
I have not.
Hop up on the sleigh.
So up beside the bag of toys, little Joey hopped. But they hadn't gone far when Santa stopped. Unharnessed all the reindeer and Joey wondered why. Then they heard a far off booming in the sky. Boom, 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 boom. 6 white boomers, snow white boomers, racing Santa Claus through the blazing sun.
I heard it. 8 Snow White Boomers. 8
Snow
white
White
boomers,
Boomers,
Snow
okay.
White Boomers.
Driving Snow White
Because it
boomers.
depends on where Santa's from, right? What he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned some of the characters that play tricks on kids
Oh,
or
Krampus
punish
from
kids.
Austria.
Krampus, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
half goat, half man. Yeah, you got Belsnickel, and that's another thing. I mean, the story of Santa, at least the American version, Santa's always very, very nice, and yes, a little obsessive compulsive with the whole checking the list twice and making
Yeah, it
sure
seems
you're not making sure you're
unnecessary.
nice, not naughty. But what's the worst thing that could happen is he brings you coal, right?
It's pretty bad if
that's-
everybody else
but,
gets a gift.
I've read some, you know, I've read some stories surrounding these pagan celebrations, right? And we're talking about these alpine monsters, man. You know, Krampus is one of them, and there's many other versions that literally go around and abduct kids, eat kids. And there are Christmas cards that are, I think they've made their way to America thanks to Pinterest and Etsy, but people still give these Christmas cards throughout Bavaria. I shouldn't say Bavaria. They still, you know, they give these Christmas cards throughout Europe.
Sure,
Still.
yeah.
And it features these devil-like goat men, right? With these canes beating kids or
Candy
you know,
canes?
well, no, these are like
No, I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
like,
I know-
like
I know
whipping canes,
I
right?
know what you're talking about.
Some of the
Yeah.
cards have these distressed-looking kids going in the Krampus's satchel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Birch sticks, they call them, not
don't
not
think
canes.
you
Birch
know,
sticks.
these characters never really catch on or have their own stories like the villains in Walt Disney World. And the reason is simple: is they're there simply for contrast.
Yeah.
They're there.
There's so much
to-
evil in the world. We don't need our
Well, they're there. It's important to have them, but
Mm-hmm.
just for points of contrast and comparison
Yeah.
to jolly old Saint Nick.
Jolly old Saint
Uh,
Nick.
Are you going to be upset when your children stop believing in the magic?
No, I think we'll have just as much fun, if not more fun, when they stop believing in the magic. I think I'll do what you and your wife have been doing for the last probably 5 or so years, is going on these destinations.
Yeah,
You know,
there's a
taking a cruise or going to another country, or we've done a little bit of that and the gift giving. And I have to say, the gifts kind of all run together. I forget about most of them. They end up broken in the trash. You know, it won't take long. But thinking about, you know, gallivanting all over Europe or being on a cruise, some of which we've done over the holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, or just going, you know, to Florida or Indiana and being with family like we're going to do again this year, that stays with you. You know,
Well,
you remember that. You remember.
I'll be honest, and
the
maybe
get-togethers.
this goes to selfishness.
Mhm.
Before, when my kids believed, I think I enjoyed Christmas more, and I remember every night staying up wrapping, and I
Yeah, yeah.
remember everything they opened.
Of course.
But you're right. I think, and you know, maybe part of it's age. They're going to remember our trips and our
Mhm.
experiences together more.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, because they cost more.
Yeah, they cost
but but I wanted to talk to you real quick about. I just wanted to ask your opinion on why the lie. Your brother said don't lie. There's some
Yeah, when I asked
controversy.
him, he
Oh, I
said,
don't. Lie.
He said the lie, man. Talk
But
about the
why?
lie.
Why? I
Well,
think
first
there's
of all-
I think there's immense benefit to it. But why, psychologically, do we have this figure, and what value he's?
You
I-
said
I-
it.
I think it has to have
I like
some
the
value.
contrast. I like the contrast. Look, the current Republican, Democratic, just the political machine is already doing enough to us, right? Not to get too conspiratorial, right? But life
I
kind
think
of
you
sucks
listen to
for
our
a,
conspiracy
life.
podcast a couple
Life
times.
sucks for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And even if you're not a conspiracy theorist, even if you look on the bright side of things, just day to day grinding it out sucks. And so this is a time when not only can our kids, but adults can sort of escape. And so maybe we would promote this to sort of leave this reality and go into another place, because, you know, it does suck going to work all year long. And again, it's just a way to sort of forget and become something else, go into a different place. That's. I mean, I like this idea of the contrast.
Yeah. Well, I'll be very honest with you. I love the Santa myth.
Yeah.
I love the Santa myth. I love the idea of presenting to our children a
Mhm.
world where you can believe in something that you can't see.
Well, and
Um,
believe in good. And,
believe in
and
good, but
giving.
But the goodness
yeah,
is something. The
and
goodness in
giving
others
and-
is something that I can't
Mhm.
show you.
Yeah.
And so we create this archetype of goodness,
Mhm.
and I think there's value to that, and that's the reason that the Santa myth endures
Mhm.
and will continue to endure, and it goes so far beyond, you know, the religion of the holiday.
Right. And it also should, and honestly, I don't want to criticize the religion too harsh, even though it's fun sometimes, but it really should also transcend the economic part of it. I actually think I hate that worse than the religious part of it.
Yeah,
Like
I agree with you.
I
agree
feel
with
like
you.
the religious part of it, it's nothing that sinister other than, you know, maybe some churches want to get more members. So they want to make their religion seem cool and fun. So they're going to take Christmas, adopt it. But economists, politicians, our government, just the society we live in here in the West in particular, using Christmas and other holidays for that matter to sort of gain in some way, to get us to consume more, to get us to spend more, to increase tax revenue, to make us feel better about living in the U.S. I don't know. I don't like that. For me, it cheapens it too.
I will take my respects where I can find them. And I love the day. And I don't think that I'm being manipulated into loving the day. I think.
Well, if
and
you're
I love
buying
the
turkey,
season.
you are.
Oh, hell yeah. You know how I feel about that?
Yeah.
I believe that, having a end of year period where we're just grateful to be with each other.
Fine.
I love it.
But
I
the
love
pressure
it.
of going out and like finding the perfect gift, making sure you spend enough money,
I
making sure it's
thrive
got
on
the
pressure.
right,
I love the
making
pressure.
sure it's got the right brand name. Look, as long as you're not buying jewelry for Valentine's Day, and as long as you're not buying a goose for Christmas, then I would say you're okay.
All right. So look, Christmas. What are you going to be doing? And I answered. What is your favorite Christmas movie? Do you have one that is a must watch during the holiday season?
Yeah, man. I like Christmas Story. I think,
Okay.
and then the child versions of Christmas, the childhood cartoons, Rudolph and Frosty and Baby New Year. I love all
Love
that
Actually?
stuff. Yeah. No. Nothing mature, nothing too adult. Just it's got to be whimsical and childlike, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the entire day.
Yeah, absolutely.
What other traditions are you looking forward to?
I don't know that we have any specific traditions other than just trying to be thankful, just trying to spend that day as a family. This year we'll be doing something a little different. We're going to Indiana, and maybe we can give our kids a little more Christmas magic in the form of that white powdery stuff.
There you
I don't
go.
think
There you
I
go.
don't think they're ever going to see snow on Christmas if we stay here. But
Yeah,
we're
probably not.
hoping a little dusting maybe in Indiana. They've already gotten some snow there, so we're kind of got our fingers crossed for some
I
snow.
think that would be fun. I have never had a white Christmas.
I think I have in South Carolina, believe it or not, but only one. And maybe in Tennessee when I lived in eastern Tennessee.
Yeah, you can get
But,
some there.
But
Absolutely.
we're pretty certain that the chance of getting snow is going to increase precipitously if we go to Indiana for about a week.
I'm
So
pretty sure.
we're planning on being there until Christmas Day and then coming back home the day after and spending time here. So our kids will get Christmas in Indiana, and they'll get Christmas when they come back here. What about you? Anything you're looking forward to these last days of the year?
Yeah, I just, the moments, really nothing, there's nothing that we do really. We did our early gardens already.
Mm-hmm.
But just the moments where I can take a beat and reflect a little bit, get in the hot tub with the kids. I love listening to Christmas Carol in the car.
Yeah.
I like going out shopping, and it's busy and crazy, and I just enjoy.
And do you drive around and look at Christmas lights or any of that
Sure,
stuff?
yeah, we do that.
Do the
We
early
that.
gardens thing?
We already did the early. We did
Yeah.
that, but we're
Yeah, you must be really well connected if you got one of those tickets this year.
no. I just
Seems
went-
like every year they get harder and harder to get.
yeah. I was online at 9:00 when
Yeah.
they were available. So I just purchased it and
Right away, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It's the same every year, but
Mhm.
I think that's kind of the point, isn't it?
It's a tradition, right?
Isn't that the
we
point?
typically do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we typically do it. You got to grab a beer and grab some hot chocolate as you're walking through the little tent.
I don't.
Stand in that crazy line if Santa's there and sit with Santa.
Yep, always,
Yeah.
always. But I played deep when I was a father. Not that I'm not a father, but when I was a father of kids who believed,
Mm-hmm.
I went to a Santa
Yeah.
before we got there,
Oh, yeah.
and I would show them a picture of my daughters. and be like,
Yeah,
look,
share
my
some
kids are
info.
coming here in 5 minutes.
Nice.
Their names are Meadow and Autumn.
Awesome.
And so Santa would be able to say,
He was in the know.
Meadow, Autumn. Like when they walked up, he was
That's good.
Meadow and Autumn. Oh my God, hello! I've been looking for you.
Nice.
We had a voice adapter, so the elf would, make a phone call. Like I would go out to the store.
So it was basically your voice, and then we'd adapt it and make it a little bit lower.
A little bit,
Little
a
lower.
little bit lower.
Right. So it'd
They
be
would
more
lower it
believable.
a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't a baby elf. It was
right.
like
Or
a-
I would record.
you want a juvenile elf
Well,
recording.
yeah. So I would record messages and put on the chipmunk voice changer too.
Yeah.
If I wasn't calling, and they'd wake up and did Penny leave a message? Oh yeah, here's Penny's message.
Yeah.
I
I think you should sing that Alvin and the Chipmunks song on our way out today.
Listen, I have to sing it every year. I already sang it. I already sang it.
Yeah, I think we'll play that one. We'll play you Nelson's version on the way out today. So,
Look, man, we're wrapping up the entire year.
Yeah.
This is the 32nd episode of Put 'em on the Couch.
mm-hmm.
And we're taking a little break.
Actually, 31st. I think I miscounted.
Okay, it's the 31st episode of Put 'em on the Couch.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back right after the holiday in 2 or 3 weeks, and then do our second season, start with New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
But as a wrap, man, what did you think of our first season of podcasting?
It's fun. It's been a crazy learning curve.
A lot of work.
I think the hardest thing has been, I thought the hardest thing was going to be editing. I think promoting it is the hardest work, just getting it in front of people's eyeballs.
Yeah, if you want a Christmas present from us, forget cash, really. Just please share our podcast.
Yeah, if you could share our podcast.
That
And
would be a
again,
great
today,
gift,
later tonight, I'm going to pick the winner for our giveaway. I've got a Put 'em on the Couch hoodie, Put 'em on the Couch coffee mug, some Put 'em on the Couch stickers, and heck, you might even win them all if you're the only person that enters. But so far, we've got 0 entries. No one has shared anything I've asked them to share. All I need you to do, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to listen.
win.
It's just click
share.
share, and then I'll know you shared it, and I'd put you in the drawing. But apparently, people don't drink coffee, or they don't want people seeing them drinking out of a mug that says "Put 'em on the Couch."
Favorite episode for the first year?
Oh, by far, my favorite episode has been the one we just did on conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I liked that one. I
Also,
liked that
like
one.
the afterlife, and I like the Freud one, the very first one.
Freud was good.
It's still pretty much the most popular of all of them. So
Well, Freud's a popular dude, man.
Yeah.
Well, in addition to shares and likes, I would really appreciate any feedback with regards to topics, shows that you guys liked for the first year.
things you don't like that
Things
we
you
do,
don't like.
maybe our music.
Please
or
don't ask me to change
our,
the
voice.
the chipmunk adapter
We
on
can
my
do
voice.
that. We can give them a bigger bottom, ladies and gentlemen. I've got 2 pretty good microphones and a wonderful audio interface
Well,
that
I don't know if it can plus me up that high.
I think we can plus you up a little bit.
Well, we need to bring you down.
No, I
we
don't
need
want
to
do
bring
that.
you down, Mr.
I want to stay
Baritone.
Barry White. I want to stay Barry White. Got to bring you up.
All right, we'll try that.
Yeah.
My favorite for the year, as a historian, I probably liked Hitler a lot.
Yeah.
I thought our episode on sex was great.
Yeah. And you probably
And,
like that one about cystic fibrosis with Mr. Brennan.
I
oh,
liked
wait,
all
you weren't
about,
in it. You weren't in that one.
I liked all.
I thought he was
going to
say like one he wasn't in.
I liked all of our friend
No,
Bob's.
it was great as well.
Yeah, if you pray for Bob, or if you pray, or please pray for our friend. But if you don't, just give him some well wishes.
Yeah. And again,
we certainly hope he's doing well.
we like the feedback. We don't mind passing it on. Put him on the couch at gmail.com, or again, just reach out to him if you have anything that you'd like to say to him.
So what do you say then? New Year's resolutions when we get back, and then Taylor Swift, Times Person of the Year.
Yeah, we got Taylor Swift. We've got procrastination. We've got luck.
Wait, well, let's just we can wait on procrastination.
But we've got luck, suicide. We got a bunch of different things. Maybe some smart technology. I got to do a psychotherapy one too. I've got one in the can, but I need to add some stuff to that so we can bring that out.
I think we're
next year
also
as well.
putting AI on the couch next year.
Yeah, probably smart technology, AI.
And maybe sports.
Yeah,
maybe,
might do another one on sports.
Yeah, put them on the couch. Put them on the court.
Got to get cats in there too. Man, so much. Got so much.
All right, guys.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Nelson, thank you for doing this this little endeavor with me. And,
thank you. And Merry Christmas, Jason.
Merry Christmas to you. See you back here next year, man.
All right. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
All right, you chipmunks. Ready to sing your song?
I'll say we are. Yeah, let's sing it now.
Okay, Simon?
Okay.
Okay, Theodore?
Okay.
Okay, Alvin? Alvin? Alvin!